Hi everyone, it's Evelyn. It's Tuesday, April 16th, and it's time for a garden tour and an update as to what's happening. Lots is happening, still not a ton of color, but lots is happening. I'm going to start the tour in exactly the same place that I did for the March garden tour, so let's get on with it. Just for reference, there's the two strawberry beds over there, and then I have 5 4-foot by 8-foot beds along here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is where we started the tour last month, so there's the neighbor's fence there. And last month I had just started planting the lettuce plants, and I had gone all the way across the bed with them and kind of ended up stopping about here, and I changed my mind on that. So I dug up the ones I had put there and rearranged everything, so they just went down this length. And then what I've got now planted in between the peonies is 5, these are herbaceous peonies, is 5 potatoes here, 5 potatoes here, and 5 potatoes here. This long thin strip in here, I think I might do either the Baby Boo or the Jack Be Little pumpkins. And that'll be a good place for them because they'll take a while before they get, I just planted the Jack Be Littles and I haven't planted the Baby Boos yet. So they'll take some time to get going. And these lettuce will be finished sometime around the beginning of July. So then the pumpkins will have lots of room to spread out. In this next bed, this is where I've been doing the composting, and I've gotten to where this first Ito peony is. So this is the section that I still have to finish composting just for that line. I've left the weeds growing along here because that keeps the soil healthy, because it keeps the biology amongst the root systems active, which keeps the soil active, which keeps it really, really healthy. I'm going to do a tomato in between these two Ito peonies. Might do another one at the top of the bed there and do more pumpkins along this line where the weeds are. That would make sense to me. I think that's what I'm going to do. Hey, look, there's a big foxglove. I was telling you about my kale last time. Look how much green growth it's put on. That's amazing considering it should be dead. That's gone through 2 winters. It actually flowered and went to seed last year and should have died at that point. It's going to flower again, and the flowers are edible, so they can go in the dog food as well. If you come along the back of this bed, this is where I planted my February 1st planting of blueberry anemones. And then here I have some sulfide anemones. It's the tail end of what's in that bed over there. I got lots of the sulfide Dicyon anemones. I got tons. So they didn't have any issues with mold. It's the Bordeaux ones. That's out of 100 corms. That's all I'm ending up with. Where these little tags are, they're there as well. But they haven't broken the soil surface yet. Now, I didn't mention in the last video, I plant with this shovel. And I do it with this shovel because I'm planting them at a 3.5-inch spacing. And from the tip of the shovel to where this handle piece molds into the shovel here, that's 3.5 inches. So I just use my shovel as a measuring guide. That was kind of fortuitous that it ended up being 3.5 inches. The middle 4x8 bed, it's got garlic on both sides. It's got my yellow amandine ranunculus here, and they go all the way up to where this divider is, and then past this divider up here, down here, and all the way down to just to here is the sulfide Dicyon, I don't know if I'm saying it right, I'll put it on the screen, anemones. So yeah, those anemones did really, really well. And of course my Ito peonies are certainly much, much bigger than they were a month ago. That's just amazing. Along the side of the garage actually here, we'll have sunflowers, same as back there along that fence there behind the garage. This next bed has more ranunculus. Now, one of them's the light red. I think this one's the light red, I believe. And this one's the dark red. And I think that's, what's that called? That's Pauline or that's Pauline? One of them's Pauline and one of them's Bonbon. I'll put it on the screen. 2 more Ito peonies. Looking absolutely lush and happy. Isn't that beautiful? I love the foliage on the Ito peonies. And these are the ranunculus that I planted that I started February 1st. Now, just to give you an example, when you plant them at 3.5-inch spacing, how much space you save, this little area here is 100 ranunculus. So that's 4 feet wide by probably, is it 2 feet? Just a little less than 2 feet. So yeah, you save a lot. So I've got like 300 ranunculus just going around the edges of the beds, and I still ended up with a spot left over here because these finished here and those finished there, and I'm going to do a cucumber there. I'm also doing a tomato in the middle of this bed. I've got lots of parsley growing. I've got marjoram or oregano growing here, which I left. At the back of the bed is where all my astilbes are and my double daisies, and clearly some tulips. Some of the tulips were here when we bought the house, those red ones and those yellow ones. So they're 10 years old in the garden. The deep purple ones and the orange, especially that one in the bed there, and the orange over there, and the yellow over there, those were leftover pots where I only had like 1 or 2 pots left at the end of the season selling, and I just planted them in the garden. So this first of the 4x8 beds, look who's there. Look who's there. Hi. Anyway, it's got garlic again planted on both sides. I have my black button bachelor buttons wrapping around the back and up to here. I'm going to do 2 tomatoes here. There's another Ito peony and another Ito peony. And at the front of the bed is where I'm going to plant my zucchinis, where I have this obelisk. I'm going to plant another cucumber at the base of that. I love that spot for a cucumber. I also love it as a place where I just hold my hose. Got all of my dahlias hardening off for the first time today, so they'll get 2 hours. And I was asked last week how many dahlias I have growing. I guessed it was around 300, and I wasn't far off. There was 304. Here's my 2 beds for my strawberries that had crocuses in them earlier. And when the strawberries are all done, they're June bearers, these cages will come off and I'll have sunflowers growing through there. This is interesting. This is how cold we got. My poor little, well, it's not that little, my rosemary plant here, this end of it died off over the winter. It's the 3rd winter in a row where I've had a piece of it die off, but we got cold. Here are my hair alliums. You can kind of tell they're planted in rows. Those are not alliums, alliums. I'm going to say it right this time. More tulips that are finishing. I've got alliums that I had previously planted in the bed. I have my 7-inch and my 10-inch alliums that I planted last fall. Clearly I forgot I had some orange tulips planted in here. And there's my 3 blueberry bushes. They do really well in those pots. I get lots of blueberries every year. But that's this back garden. Now, I'll just take a quick look at how I've set up the dahlias for hardening off. I've just used our 3-foot sawhorses, our 2-foot sawhorses, and our 2-foot benches, one of which came out of my seed room, because that's the same as what I had in the seed room. And then I've just got all the dahlias up here, as well as on the Rubbermaid cart up here. There's no need to take the last ones off of here before it gets wheeled back into the seed room. Not that long from now. I have my chocolate mint is starting to grow. Look, so that's kind of fun. All the chocolate mints are most of them are starting to grow. Of course, I've got my gladiolas here, espresso. And more of the gladiolas over here. And what's interesting is they've clearly not come up, because there were 6 in a row. In that first row, there's only 2. In the next row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5. But anyway, we'll see how that works out. Maybe they're still coming up, maybe they're not. Now, let's go up the side garden. I'm going to start the side garden tour by my camellia bush. Sit down. Sit. I'm kneeling down so the dogs think I'm here to play with them. And I'm doing that because I got a question for you guys. Hey, back. For some reason, my camellia blossoms are really small this year. I don't understand that. They're all like that. There's another one. That one's just getting ready to open up. I don't understand why they're all so small. That's never happened before. So, I mean, they've got the blossoms on them. The blossoms are starting to bloom, but they're like 1/3 of the size that they normally are. So if you have any answers as to why that would be, let me know. Ah, they calmed down. So now we're back over to the other side of the side garden, because there's the camellia bush. Out of focus. There's the camellia bush. And down there is where the dahlias are. And here you can see on these 3 concrete beds, that one's not only just got started, but they're all planted up now. And they're planted up with my sunflowers and the odd hosta and the odd parsley. Now my sunflowers I've got planted at 5.5 inches apart, and it's the same thing. I use that same shovel because the spade head on it is exactly 5.5 inches, so I use it as a guide for measuring. So this bed is all planted up with the first planting to here. I mean, you can tell because that one's quite a bit smaller than that one. And then the second planting comes all the way down to, I believe, here. And then the third planting, no, couldn't have come all the way down to there. No, it comes down to here. As you can see, that's bigger than this. And then the third planting goes to the chimney. And the very last few ones just on the other side of the chimney. Now, before I walk up to the front garden, I'm just going to show you a little clip that I did, I think, about a week ago. Well, we decided that we were going to bring the pathway all the way up to where the concrete starts, where our front entrance is here. We have some of the concrete tiles. We figured out how many more we need to finish this. Biggest issue with the path, it's from this curb to where the tiles go to is 8 inches, but I have a bunch of these solid concrete 8 by whatever tiles that I'm going to just run all the way along here, like to extend that curb. There's also going to be a 10-inch gap here. I might just, for a consistent look, do the same thing across here, but in case I decide not to, we are going to buy 4 extra and cut them. That gives us 1 to break. If it doesn't break, we can take it back. I edged it all with more of the 1x1 sticks so I can see where the lines are. Same thing for cutting back the grass in the dahlia beds. As you can see here, all the beds are trimmed with 1x1 sticks, so I know where to cut the grass back, and I'll just bury the grass as compost. That's the same way I made these 2 new beds here. So these are just here for me to step on. So I've got both dahlia beds trimmed out with the sticks. Now I weed whacked the lawn. This is all just loose grass in here from weed whacking, so I could see what I was doing. And now I just got to cut with a shovel the grass along the edges and bury it all long before I do the planting of the dahlias, which will be starting May 1st. So yeah, that's the progression on the pathway here. This will be the same tiles as what's here and what's on the top of our landing right there. There's the flower wagon. And it'll go now all the way down to where the concrete starts for where our front door is there. Now, I had said I was only going to do, we had 6 or 9, I can't remember anymore, of the tiles left over from before. And before we only were able, it was the end of the season and they only had so many in stock, which is why we only did the short little bit of sidewalk that we had done. And I was only going to come to the end of the width of the that center dahlia bed because I had enough to do that. But after laying the bed out, we decided, oh, let's just get it done because it's pretty muddy in the winter. So we bought enough tiles and we did the whole thing 5 of the tiles had to be cut, and they're concrete tiles. So if you need to cut a concrete tile, they cut really, really easily. I'm going to show you how easily they cut. I don't even know which is the good edge or which is the bad edge. That's either the good edge or the bad edge, or that's the good edge or the bad edge. You can see the edges are clean. And they're like that even on the smallest ones that we did. The cut edge looks, well, this one has just a little bit, I don't even know if that ripple was on from the cutting or not. But there's a secret to cutting concrete tiles. So first of all, you need a skill saw, and you need a powerful one. A battery operated skill saw will not be powerful enough to cut concrete tiles. You need one that plugs in, like an older one. Really, an older one has the most amount of power in it. So if you have an old skill saw, plugs in, use that, and then put a masonry blade on the skill saw, and you'll be amazed. It just cuts through the concrete like butter. The biggest issue you're going to have is all that concrete dust blowing in your face because you can't see, and then you can't see what you're cutting. But what you do is you have a second person there, and you get a leaf blower, and the second person holds the leaf blower and blows all that concrete dust away from the skill saw so that the person cutting with the skill saw can see what they're doing. Okay, let's get back onto the garden tour. That's my little tidbit of knowledge that I have. So here it is. We decided, because it had the concrete lip here anyway, we decided to bring one row of tiles, which was 5, along here. And because these 3 ended up being just under, I had to kind of slope these a bit out that way, 1 tile, we could do another 5 along here. Now this is one of the ones that's cut. Clearly you can't tell which side is cut. This is another one that's cut. Clearly you can't tell which side is cut. As you can see, that's 12 inches. That's about 10 inches or something like that. I can't remember. And then we went up and joined up with the old path. These look a lot bluer just because those have been here for a couple of years, and they're patinaed with dirt and mud and everything else ground into them. These will get looking like that soon. I had a bit of an issue, so in the winter I may dig them up and adjust this. In order to get them perfectly level with this little concrete curb that's here, I had to then go up on a pretty steep slope, and I'm still 2 fingers lower than the height of this grass. So what I'm going to do in the fall, probably, or in the late winter, is pull these ones up and take the slope from here to here and make it shallower, because it goes up and then it levels out. So I'm going to make it shallower here and just make the adjustments where it's a bit more level there, because this is quite sloped this way because of that. Not a big deal. I might not even do it, who knows, because it's still really easy to walk on. But look at all the soil that I have left over from digging out for where these tiles are going to go in. It's quite a mound of soil here. And I'm just leaving it here like this, because we've got sun today, and we've got sun, looks like, for the next 2 weeks. So I want these little chunks of grass here to just dry up so that the soil can then just fall out of them. So, and then all that soil will get put into garbage cans for using for my bulbs for next fall. This bed, I had cut this one back because I didn't want the end of it too close to the curb where there's the drop off, but now that I have this here, I think next winter I will extend this bed all the way to the tiles, similar to the way this bed is, because why not? And also, this bed never went all the way down to here either, but now it will. So I will have gained, it literally went to where these guys are, just like about a foot past that. So I've gained quite a bit of growing space this year, here, and I'll gain some growing space here as well. But anyway, this bed has my snapdragons in them. They're growing, but very, very slowly. This bed's got more grass in it because I've edged it. Grass grows in. I edge it in the spring and that's it. And then the dahlias grow and the grass moves in a bit, and then the next spring I edge it again, and same thing. I'm just going to leave all the clumps here for the soil to dry out of them, so that it's already starting to dry out, so that I don't have to deal with the clumps of grass as much. You can see over here my daffodils and my tulips. My daffodils for sure are all really going into bloom now, and the tulip, oh look, some of the tulips are starting to open up. So the flower wagon is starting to look really colorful again, as of really, that's just been in the last couple of days. This side bed that has sweet peas along the edge of it. Actually, the first bed in the back garden had sweet peas along the edge of it too. I think I forgot to mention that. They're starting to grow. Bluebells are starting to bloom in these little clumps of wild bluebells. See that here. Nothing happening in that bed. Same thing on this one. I just edged it. And we're going to just take you up to the flower wagon. Just one sec. Here's the flower wagon on the road. Let's go have a look at it. So there's a pot of daffodils at the top. There's a pot on the table. And then I've got the 3 steps mostly with daffodils on them, because that's what I'm trying to move, because they started opening up first, although they're only really a few days ahead of the tulips. I have one, oh, I forget what this is. Let's look at the pot. It'll tell me. Thalia. That's left over from last year. I just thought I'd put it up here because it's so pretty. And daffodils don't grow well in my garden for whatever reason. Even though the tulips come back, the daffodils don't. Inside the flower wagon, I have one tulip pot, one daffodil pot. I've got all of my art cards here so that people, if they're buying it for a gift, they can buy an art card with it if they need to, if they want to. Got a little art card sign there below my fancy bulb sign. That's where they pay. See, I'm going to actually spin this around so that it faces more the other side of the road. There we go. And so that's, oh yeah, and then I just have a few more just decor pieces up there available. And that's what the flower wagon looks like. I have a little Flowers Today sign there. I got to pull some dandelions up there. And then around on this side, as you can see, I can see if there's money in the back of that. So when they put money in, I can see it, and I can literally see it from my office window right there. And then these are our 3 steps down to our landing here. Turn around back and show you what it looks like from the back. Shut this gate so you can see the cash box there. You can see the back of it. And here is where I store them for the night. I just bring them in and store these containers here. They hold they hold 6 1-gallon pots perfectly. So 2 of these holds 12. That's what I've got out there. I've sold 2 today, but I've replaced them already. And it's just after lunch only. So then we go through the second gate, which is to stop the dogs from accidentally getting out onto the road. And we're back into the garden. I forgot to mention in the side garden, I've got primroses starting to bloom now. And my giant Solomon seal is starting to bloom, and it too is way shorter than it should be. It should be about this tall. So the camellia flowers are much smaller than they should be. The giant Solomon seal is much shorter than it should be. So that's interesting. I hope you enjoyed that tour. It's stuff is happening. Still not enough to make bouquets with, but stuff is definitely happening, and that's okay because I got lots of daffodils and tulips to sell, so I would like to sell those, and I don't want them competing with bouquets. Thanks for watching. Oh, by the way, if you want to see the comparison as to what this week's garden tour looked like or from last month's, I'll put the link up on the screen, and you can check out the differences to how much has happened in the past month. Thanks for watching. Bye.